Hi, my name's John from POW, and thanks very much for joining me on my weekly update as I continue my preparation and research on a demo account before launching the EA Banker on some live funds in a cent account in January. So this week is the final week that I'm running before reoptimizing. So it's been running for nearly 2 months now. So let's get on and show you how it's been going. Right, so as you can see now, the account is up 41% with a drawdown of 23% in total, and that is over the course of about 2.5 months there since the 29th of August. In the last week, we can see, okay, that is actually big on. It's actually some great movement and 14% up in profit, and it says 0.92 drawdown here on my FX books. However, as I explained in the previous clips, I have a bit of a bugbear there with how my FX books records drawdown. It's not very accurate in my opinion, and I say that because I've seen some trades there over the course of the last week that had over $2,500. Euro CHF had that, and then also CAD JPY, good performing but a little bit of a rogue set, that also had a 4K drawdown as well. So on this balance here on 141,000, that is still in excess of about 1.5%. So it's saying here that I've had 0.92 isn't quite accurate. But bearing that in mind, like I've said before, that's just something that I'm factoring in as I'm taking notes and continuing my preparation with regards to this account. So I'm very happy with how this is going, and although I set the account up and I launched it on the 29th of August, I actually did the optimization a few days beforehand. So I'm actually supposed to be reoptimizing it in about 10 days time. That's when I had originally planned it in my trading plan. However, I'm away that weekend, so what I will be doing is I'll be reoptimizing it slightly early, and I'll be reoptimizing it this weekend. So when I post my next clip, that will be a completely new portfolio based on the same optimization file that I'm using on the same pairs as well, and we're just going to be then continuing there on this account. And that is in line with what we teach also at Power in terms of continual reoptimization to stay in line with market conditions. All right. So now, second to this, now let's just have a look with regards to the stats where we're at for how this has performed as a whole compared to my backtest data. So what I can tell you is that on my backtest data, which I mentioned there in the first couple of clips when I started this project back in August, is that the original backtest data said I would be receiving between 6 and 15% if I was running this same portfolio over the last 6 months. I backtested for a 6-month period, and it said the max drawdown was 4.6%. So as you can see, what I actually got in just under 2 months was 41% in profit and a max drawdown of 20%. So that's on average 20% profit a month, obviously. But the max drawdown, see, now that's higher than what I experienced in the backtest data. But again, I know this already. We account for this in Power. We see this on a regular basis. So we adapt to that as traders and adapt to our portfolios to know that there is normally can be quite a bit of a differential between what we're experiencing in drawdown in the backtest data to what we're experiencing in demo, and this is actually playing out as we suspected. But that's okay, because I've set up the account in a way that it is actually still in line with my trading psychology and my risk appetite. I'm trading on my own funds for myself, and everyone is different. Going down to a maximum drawdown of 23%, I'm okay with that, and especially with here when it only happened once. It was actually a one-off. So I'm left with a bit of a quandary here. These sets, this portfolio as a whole, even though it's technically come to the end of its shelf life before reoptimization, they are actually still performing really, really well. I've got 14% there in the last week. So what I actually intend to do is I'm going to reoptimize this set file, these optimization files for this portfolio, and I'm going to put the new set files onto this account here. So we're going to pick up where we left off next week, and I'm going to carry on going. But I've checked out the drawdown and the performance and the profit of the current set files individually, and there's some of them I actually really do like. So what I'm going to look to do is set up another demo account and carry on running those set files just to see how they play out, if they do fall out of line with the market, or if I actually do have some really good performing set files for the long term that will continue to stay in line with market conditions despite them only being tested for 6 months. There's no loss to that. They've got some really good, well-performing set files still. When you think trying to weigh up the pros and cons of it, there's no harm in me continuing that. And if they ended up failing in a few weeks' time, then so be it. That's fine. It wasn't part of my original strategy to be holding on to them anyway. So I may as well just keep them, observe them, make notes, and see if I can make use of them individually anyway. So of the 6 that I've got that make up this portfolio, gold made up 17% of the profit. GU made up 4% of the profit, but it also got about just under 3% of the drawdown. And then GBP, JPY, that made up 3% of the profit and accrued 2.5% drawdown. Again, this is all on my FX books. Euro, CHF, that was a low performer one. I think that only had about 35, 36 trades, but it did actually achieve 4% out of those 35, 36 trades. So those 4 I really like, and I'm going to keep hold of them and put them on this other portfolio. But what I'm going to do is accounting for the fact that they are at the end of their shelf life in terms of, because I did them on a 6-month back test and I've run them now for nearly 2 months. I'm going to just half the lot sizes and just see how they pan out. At the end of the day, with statistics like that over the course of 2 months, I'll be more than happy if I end up with very good set files earning half the profit they did, but also getting half the drawdown as well. They could be really good set files that I could have long term, that I could copy over to different accounts in the future. But let's just see. But what I won't be going forward with is CAD CHF. That only did like about 5 trades. In the backtest data, it did so much more. That seems to have fallen. That's going to fall at the wayside. And of course, CAD JPY. I've been talking about that one since the 2nd week when it accrued 23% a drawdown. That made up, even for its 23% drawdown, only made up 7% of the profit. So for me on CAD JPY, the juice really ain't worth the squeeze and holding on to it. So CAD Swiss franc and CAD JPY, that's going to go to the wayside, and I'm going to keep the other 4. That's gold, GU, GJ, and Euro Swiss. Okay, so just in general, what I've learned in this phase before moving on to the next phase is, number 1, the portfolio as a whole deviated from the backtest data in terms of the drawdown, and that was within 14 days. So I want to see if that same pattern happens again. I know it was a one-off, but even if that's a one-off, what if it isn't 20%? What if it goes up? What if it's 30, 40, or 50%? Well, that's on a live account for myself. That's the account gone. So I want to see if there's any patterns to that. Okay, and also as well, something else I've learned is through the process we teach here at Power and the software we use, we're able to see many different data points really quickly as we're analysing a large amount of data. And what I've learned is picking set files to build a portfolio with a low average trade time is one that really works for me. In the first few weeks, every time I checked my MT5 on my phone or on the PC, I found that I'd never seen trades open. They were always closed. The profit just kept going up and up and up. I didn't see, and hand on heart, I probably didn't see live trades on this account probably for about 10 days. So that really suits me. I really like that. It's just making profit without me even knowing, without me even seeing. But that's due to the work I put in before and the decision I made to pick set files to make up my portfolio that had a low average trade time. Right, so what I'll do is I'm going to continue with this account, and I'm going to pick this up with you now in 1 week. Once I've got this sorted out in 1 week, and I'll see you then, and we'll have a fresh new set files part of this portfolio and carrying on. And that's actually going to lead up quite well from the mid-October up to, I'm going to do another 6-month back test with a 1/3 walk forward. So that'll be 2 months demoing, and that'll bring me nicely up to Christmas. I can then analyse my data and get ready to go in January. Great. Well, thank you very much for joining me, and see you next week. Thanks. Bye.